Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just got back from Cape Town. We had the Springbok Media Day. We had a bunch of interviews with a bunch of guys, and over the next couple of days there's so much to unpack, there's so much to go through. I'm going to try and pack them out all for you. You probably have seen some of the articles in the media, but these will be the unedited audio and video clips that will come out. Of course, the videos we can only shoot a certain amount of time, and then the rest will be audio files, as you'll see in some of these videos. I can use them. They just don't allow us to videotape everything because they keep it for the writers, etc. But the audio files are fine to use. So we're going to go straight into one of the clips that's made a bit of headlines. Rian Oberhold, so the SA Rugby CEO, was there, and he was chatting to us, and he was asked about the World Cup, whether South Africa would put in a bid to host the World Cup again. And my thing has always been that we're not going to ever host the World Cup again. That's simple economics. Unfortunately, World Rugby wants to make money out of the tournament, and South Africa won't make them the amount of money that the European or other big nations will. Unfortunately, that's the reality of everything, is that it goes about money, and everything goes about money, because this is what funds World Rugby's machine. And while South Africa last hosted the World Cup in 1995, I've been on record that the 2023 World Cup, when we lost that to France through all sorts of skullduggery and sort of stuff that's come out in the media since about how France stole that World Cup from South Africa. I suppose that's what made it all the sweeter, the revenge of actually winning the quarterfinal and winning the tournament in France. But that was the last hope that South Africa really had of doing a World Cup. Part of the problem is government has to put up it's obscene amounts. It's a couple of $1 billion. And South African terms, just at the moment, that's impossible. The same goes for New Zealand. New Zealand won't be able to give the revenue that World Rugby want for the tournament. And that's part of the problem that they have. So, Rian was quite honest about it. He said exactly what he said. You've probably seen some of the headlines that South Africa won't host the World Cup again. I think that's the economic reality. But I'm going to put the audio clip up here soon, just that you can hear it straight from the horse's mouth, so that you can see exactly what Rian said. But I think to start with, just give it some perspective. Here are some figures of why the World Cup is so expensive and what World Rugby gets out of it. Just as it says here, this is just a Google search that came up with the AI, that the economic impacts often exceed 3.4 billion euros for the host nation. It estimated 1.8 billion euros in total spending in the World Cup in France. And quite interesting that there's a lot of direct visitor spending. You can read that. Input for France and tax revenue of over 70 million euros as well. The guarantees are the problem for South Africa, though. Breaking it down even further, $350 million in ticket sales alone for the 2023 edition. Broadcasting deals, 173 million. Sponsorship of 143 million. That's huge. Future projections is that obviously 1.3 billion. It's obviously great to host a World Cup, but it's a hell of an economic endeavor, as you can see by these figures. Just some more key figures of the economic impact. You need to give a financial guarantee over 120 million pounds, which was approximately 2.8 to 3 billion rands that you would have to give a guarantee to secure the hosting rights. So you get that back in the long term, but it's just the real question is, does South Africa have that? And at the moment, the government seriously says it can't guarantee that. So that's the financial reality of everything. Just some more figures coming out. Historically, it's been 120 million for the 2023 cycle. Government has to underwrite it as well. State-backed guarantees in the region of 320 million euros there to cover the fee and the commercial rights. And obviously there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be upgraded as well, which that also has to happen as well. And finally, Australia negotiated a flat $100 million fee, which you can say that maybe they got some preferential treatment. They were in a lot of financial pressure, had the Lions Tour and the World Cup tournament to them as well. The 2031 is going to be a cost-sharing model where profits and losses shared between World Rugby to reduce the risk. And you have to ask yourself why they won't do this for South Africa. Well, I just don't think. The problem is we'd have to probably price tickets way ahead of what local fans can afford, and that would make it sort of unsustainable. I know SA Rugby's done the model, they've done the sums, and they feel it is not really worth it, just in terms of costs for local fans. But back to Rian, who's obviously was asked the question and put it into perspective. Of course, as Mark Leeson, who was the journalist that made the follow-up question, it is very ironic that the two nations that won the World Cup the most, South Africa and New Zealand, will never get to host one again. It's not fair. Life is not fair, I suppose, at times, but you can tell me in the comments what you feel about it. I think it's really those who were able to watch the 1995 or who's been to a World Cup knows it's an amazing tournament to be at. But here's Rian answering that question for us.
I missed that. What is it?
Rugby World Cup last year.
To host a Rugby World Cup. I think you are correct in saying it is a challenge for us going forward. Remember, the Rugby World Cup is the only revenue stream for World Rugby that must fund the whole ecosystem, and all the members get some funding out of a Rugby World Cup. So World Rugby must take the World Cup to where they can make the most money, and to go where there will be support from local government and national government. If you compare us to Europe, for example, I cannot see that the money will ever be the same generated out of South Africa than it will generate out of Europe in future, maybe somewhere in the Middle East. One never knows. But it's a World Rugby decision, not a SA Rugby decision. And World Rugby will drive World Cups to where they believe they can make the most money. And we all have to understand that, because you can't complain and ask for a World Cup in your country, make less money, and then want the biggest slice of the cake when it comes to the annual grant that we get from World Rugby. So it is about the income generation to feed the whole rugby system in World Rugby, and that is what
it would seem quite ironic, though, that your two biggest rugby countries, New Zealand, was the same money problem, and us never get to host the biggest tournament.
Again, I think we have moved away from that philosophy that everybody must get an equal chance to host a World Cup. New Zealand will not make the money out of a World Cup that a World Cup needs. South Africa will not make the money out of a World Cup that World Rugby needs. So I don't think it is a negative on us. It is more what is more important for the best interest of World Rugby.
So that was Rian talking about the Rugby World Cup, and I think just to add it as well, he was actually talking as well about just how good things are in SA Rugby as well. And to be fair, that wasn't the World Cup wasn't the only thing he was talking about. So I think to be fair with him, he was talking about what a great position SA Rugby is in at the moment, and I think we should listen to that as well, because it looks like with the greatest rivalry tour coming up, the Nations Championship, and tests against the Barbarians, Australia and Argentina as well, there's certainly a lot of good going on in SA Rugby, and they're in a very healthy place. So yes, Rian talking about that, just the state of SA Rugby at the moment.
I think we're in a very good space at this moment in time, both on and off the field. Of the 12 Tier 1 nations, and we have discussions with each other, we are the only one that is actually going to show a bit of a profit. So it is going well, but again, it is a system, and the system must work. Where if the Springbok team and the national teams do not perform, we will not find commercial money. If we don't have commercial money, we can't feed the system again from the bottom to ensure that the players keep on coming through the system. So the majority of our funds go back to our unions in any case, so to feed the system. So we are in a good space. We are probably in the best space we've been since COVID, and we are very fortunate that we are in a stable position at this moment in time.
That's Rian talking about the state of South African rugby, which certainly sounds very healthy. There'll be more clips coming from the media day as such. I'm just going to work through them all. There's a lot of them. We were there for a couple of hours, so a lot to talk about, and they'll be dropping the next sort of day. So if you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button. Thumbs up in the comments, it would help us as well with the algorithm, and I'd really love to hear your views on South Africa and New Zealand not hosting a World Cup again. I'd love to hear what you think. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world, and unless we can find a way of changing that, That's always going to be the case. So anyway, until our next video, cheers. Bye.